We are wired as human beings to find purpose. We're wired to search for purpose and meaning in the chaos. Some sort of grand storyline to attach our lives to attach our work to attach what we do to.
We spend over 40 to 50% of our waking lives at work. It's not a surprise that we want to find meaning and purpose in work. And people sometimes say to me, well, Zach, this is sort of like the fluffy, like touchy-feely stuff. And I say it's not. It's literally scientifically a basic need of everybody's brain, that we want purpose and meaning. And when we create environments that elicit it, it is incredibly powerful.
We are wired to contribute. Altruism is one of the most primitive parts of our brain. It's one of the only reasons why we've survived as a species to this time. When we are focused on other people, we get what's called the happiness trifecta of neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. And it literally controls for mood and movement. We physiologically become different and more effective when we have a purpose that's focused on helping other people.
When we don't have purpose, we have random things happening. These are decisions, thoughts, attitudes about your products, about your employees, about how you make meaning of things. You're kind of going in a direction, but everything seems random. It's reactive constantly. But purpose sort of serves, that was pretty good, as a grand narrative that aligns and pulls everything forward. In business, this is what we call wasted energy. This is what we call harmonized energy. Purpose pulls us.
What if people didn't live for 2/7 of their lives, the days that began with the letter S? What if at work we reframed leadership and management as being responsible for over 50% of people's waking lives, who have lives as vivid and complex and important as our own? What would society be like? What would the world be like?
Well, you'll be surprised that there are these mini stories, these moments of meaning embedded throughout all of our work. What happens, though, is the routines and the pressures of life lock those away often, and we subscribe to another narrative. Like, oh gosh, is it almost the weekend yet? Or we damn the bureaucracy, or we talk about a supervisor. What if we reframe that narrative and start telling these stories of impact? I'm going to give you an example. I was working with a supply chain management company here in Denver. Now, what they do is they supply small widgets that go to a manufacturing facility that then manufactures medical devices. So 3 steps removed from a even semblance of a human being. And I went into this hotel ballroom and they were miserable. This group, you could just feel it. And I always say this, when you live by results, you die by results. They had a horrible financial quarter and they were just dead inside. You could just tell, feel it. I was right after the chief operating officer just chewed them out for not meeting their goals. So I go in and they're all sitting looking at their phones, you could just feel it. And one guy even said, oh gosh, I hope this guy's not boring. And I'm like, as speakers, we can also hear what you're saying. So I'm just noticing this and I start doing this session on purpose and it was not going well at all. And I just stopped and I said, why are you even here today? Why'd you get out of bed and come here? And the supervisor was glaring at me in the back. And then a woman raised her hand and she goes, gosh, I've never been asked that question in my 12 years here of why I'm here. And this is typical throughout a lot of organizations. I've never been asked that question of why I'm here. And she goes, I just realized it last month and I'm realizing it right now. I was diagnosed with cancer. I was in an MRI machine. I looked up at the brand of the MRI machine and I said, I realized we distribute a widget that goes into that machine. And she said this verbatim. I realized in that moment that my job has existed for the last 12 years to save my own life. You talk about an antidote to employee disengagement. The room changed. That one story, everybody started crowding around her. They were like, yes, this is why we're here.
Because when people ask why of us, they're seeking an explanation. We have to take account of our existence as an organization and as people. We have to explain ourselves. In that explanation, research has found, is one of the most powerful motivators of people. It's that purpose-led people and organizations aren't productive because they have to be, but they're productive because they deeply want to be. They're productive because they believe in the story and the impact and the end user of whatever it is that they're doing.